Hi, I'm Rita. Welcome back to my booktube channel, Life Worth Reading. And for this video, I'll be picking my July TBR, as always using my tarot TBR game. If you want to play for yourself, I always leave in the description a Google Docs link so you can check out all the rules, all the prompts, and what prompt is assigned to each card. And yes, usually I check last month's TBR to see if I followed through or not. But you might have noticed I didn't do a June TBR because I was just, I was in a rut. Let's just say that. May was not a good reading month for me. I only read 2 books. And so I didn't feel like setting myself up for failure in June. So I didn't do a June TBR. So we're not going to look at last month's TBR. We're just going to go straight into it. Straight into my July TBR for a brand new beginning. And seeing what the cards have in store this month for me. I do have some videos planned, so I have a few books I do need to get done for those videos. So I will be trying to include those as much as I can in the prompts that come up. But other than that, I don't have like a really theme or readathon that I'm doing in July. And so I'm just ready to see what the cards pick out for me and see what really ends up happening. I'll be picking 6 cards. I'll be dividing my deck into the major arcana and the minor arcana cards, and I'll be picking 3 from each split deck. So without further ado, let's just get into the card picking portion of this video and then check out what cards I do pull from my deck. Welcome to the card picking part of this video. As always, you already know what's coming up. It's my tarot deck, Mystic Mondays by Grace DeWong. It's starting to get a little crusty. It's starting to break apart. Some of the cards are not in their best shape, but I still love it and I wouldn't replace it for anything. So here we have my beautiful cards, and let's just start picking what's going to happen in July, because I really have no set plans for this TBR. I have a few books that I want to get done, but I don't have like any specific books that I want to read, or a theme that I want to follow, or any readathons that are happening. So let's just see what the cards have in store for us. I am going to divide my cards into the major arcana and the minor arcana for a little bit, and then we will start. Okay, so let's start with the first card that we're going to pick. It'll be a major arcana card, and let's find out what that is. Okay, we have the Death card. Okay, so the first card that we got was a Death card, which I really love. I love this Death card. I think it's super beautiful, and this I'm pretty open with this specific prompt, because if you see the Google Docs, it says either to read a thriller or a horror book. The Devil card, another card in the major arcana pile, is just for horror books, but this card I'm like, whatever I'm in the mood for, so I allow myself for it to be either a thriller book or a horror book. And I actually have 2, one of each for this specific card. I'm not promising that I'll get to both of them, but I wanted to pick a thriller and a horror book. So for my thriller, I think that I finally want to get to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I've been hearing so much about that thriller book. People have been saying that it's like one of the best thrillers that they've ever read. It was a lot of people's favorite books of 2021, and I finally want to see what it is about. I know that it's about like this college reunion where one of them dies. There's also a little bit of a romance. I don't know, it just sounds super interesting, and I think that's one of the books that I'll try to get to. But the other one that I'm getting to for sure is Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. I think that's her name. This is a very short like horror novella, and I've recently seen Kayla's video from Books and Lala. I always confuse her name, but I've seen Kayla's video where she was reading that book, and she said that she was really unsettled by it, even though nothing very specifically horror like happened. She was still very unsettled by it, and I'm reading that for a video. It's going to be a themed reading vlog that I'm very excited about. And so I'm reading that for sure, and that's the horror book, and I hope I don't DNF it because sometimes books can be a little too scary for me. But hopefully I won't DNF it, and hopefully I'll be very unsettled by it, but like in a good way. Like I'm going to finish this book in a unsettled way. So yeah, that's the first card. That's the death card. Let's find out what our second card is. We have the World card. Next up, we got the World card. I love this card because it's so open. It allows me to read almost anything, because this prompt is to read a book set in a different country than mine. Obviously, I live in Portugal, so it's not very hard to find books outside of Portugal, but this is my opportunity to read not just diversely, but to read books set in countries that I've never read a book set in before. And so for this specific one, I think that I'll be reading Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jedrzejewski. I think that this is a Polish author. At least the book is set in Poland in the 80s. It's a queer novel. And I'm reading this also for a video that I don't think you can guess what it is, but I'm reading it for a video. So I've never read anything set in Poland, I don't think. Maybe like a World War II historical fiction that's partially set in Poland, but I've never read, that's a lie, I just read a book set in Poland. I just read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, and it's set in Poland. Never mind, I don't usually read books set in Poland. This is probably going to be my second book set there, but I'm assigning it to this prompt because I have to read it for a video, so I might as well just accept it and fit it into any prompt that I can. And our last major arcana card will be this one. And it is the Magician card. Next up, we got the Magician card, and the Magician card is very simply to read a fantasy book. And I haven't really been in the greatest mood for fantasy. I have been reading a few fantasies for a video. How many times can I say that? Wow. But specifically for this card, I thought that I would read the sequel to The Poppy War, which I only have the first one here because my friend Bia lent it to me. I currently don't have the second one on me, but yeah, The Poppy War, I read it this month in June, and it was supposed to be in May, but I finished it. That's what matters. And I buddy read this with Jess and Delphi, and me and Jess are also going to buddy read the second book starting the first weekend of July. So it's starting in a few days, and we're going to be starting the Dragon Republic. And I'm very excited about that. I still have to do like my May and June wrap up, but I gave Poppy War 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like the perfect fantasy book that everyone says that it is personally, but I really enjoyed it, and it was like so open-ended in like a way that makes me very excited for the next two books, because they just, the ending of the first one just like opened the world right up, and I have no idea where RF Punk took it and next. So I'm very excited for the Dragon Republic. So that will be this for the fantasy card. Okay, so we have a very aesthetic major arcana pile, and now let's move on to our minor arcana cards, from which I will also pick 3 cards. Let's find out what our first card from the minor arcana pile is, and but our 4th card overall, and it is the 5 of Swords. Now, from the minor arcana, we got our first card, which was the 5 of Swords. And any 5 of any suit means reading a 5-star prediction, which I obviously love to do, because who doesn't love reading a 5-star prediction? Except when they don't turn out to be 5 stars after all. But other than that, it's always so fun to read a 5-star prediction. And for this specific one, I will be reading Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. This is a book that I've been so excited for a lot of years now. It's short, it's under 200 pages. I kind of want to say it again, I'm reading it for a video. Okay, you've heard me, you know what it is. But I'm just so excited about this. It's about like this generation of a family, and I love families like centered stories. It's also about a pregnancy, I think, and I just love some good family drama. So I'm very excited about this book, and I think I'll be giving it 5 stars. If I don't, I'll be very sad, but sometimes that just happens. But this is a 5-star prediction for sure, and I'm very happy to be reading it in July. Let's find out what our second card is. We have the 8 of Swords. Then we got the 8 of Swords. So I got a few sword cards in a row, which was very strange. I don't think that ever happened before. And the 8 of Swords is to read a recently purchased book. Now, I have 2 books for this because I went in the direct, like recently purchased book route. And then I also went into a recently picked up from my library book route. And for that one, I picked the Book of Essie by Megan McLean Weir. And this book, first of all, the cover really spoke to me when I saw it at the library. It also has deckled edges, which I love, and not enough books have that. And this book, from what I understood, it's about this girl named Essie, and she's in this very classic family, and her dad is like this famous evangelical preacher in somewhere in America. I'm not sure where. I have no idea where this book is set, but it's somewhere in America, and she's the daughter of this evangelical preacher, and they have this family like reality TV show called Six for Hicks, and the drama that will ensue, I am sure of it. Basically, Essie, or Esther, gets pregnant, and her pregnancy is like hidden away because obviously she's like this teenage girl. She's the daughter of an evangelical preacher that's famous because they have a reality TV show, and so it's like this whole like hidden pregnancy thing. And I think that it will touch on perhaps humorous aspects to very serious topics like abortion, sex ed, perhaps celibacy and abstinence. And I just think that it'll mix that with religion. I think that the fact that they have like this reality TV show is supposed to be a little bit humorous, but I'm not sure what the tone of the book will be. I just know that the cover really grasped my attention, and then when I read the synopsis, I was like, this sounds super interesting. It sounds like something that I would definitely love, specifically during this time period where the right to abortion has just been overturned in the US, and it's a very, very scary time to be a woman, specifically for now in the US, but obviously all around the world. Women are constantly losing their rights to reproductive rights, and honestly all types of rights. And so I think that this will be a very interesting book to read during this specific time frame that we're going through. But yeah, this book really caught my attention at the library, and I have to read it soon because I have to give it back. Now more on the traditional recently purchased book. I have A Lad's Away by Darcy Little Badger, which is a book that I mentioned in my latest book haul, and I'm just very excited to get to this book. I heard that our main character is asexual. Am I making that up? I'm not sure. I hope I'm not. But I've been meaning to read this book for a while, and even though I think it's set in winter in a very cold place, I kind of want to read it in the summer, and nothing can stop me. This is not my most recently purchased book, but I don't, in my prompt, I don't need it to be like the last book that I bought. Just a book that was recently purchased, and this is one of them. So hopefully I'll get to A Lad's Away in July. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any praise for this book, because that always gets me like even more excited to get to certain books. So if you have anything good to say about this book, please let me know. And let me know if I made it up that she's asexual. I hope I didn't. overall is. Let's see. It's the Seven of Swords. Oh my god, we had all swords. That's really weird. I don't think this ever happened yet. But this is a very cohesive pile of cards. I'm really into this aesthetic, so. And finally, our last card was also a swords card, which is very weird. But yeah, I got the Seven of Swords. And I'm going to cheat a little bit for this card because this is to read a Portuguese book. Not just a book in Portuguese, a book written by a Portuguese author. And I was looking through my shelves and I don't have any on my TBR like right at this second. Maybe I'll pick one up from the library in July, but I don't have any yet. And so I am going to cheat a little bit and I'm going to talk about a book that is in Portuguese, but it's not written by a Portuguese author. And that is this one. This is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. I've been meaning to read this book since it came out, but actually I don't know why, but the paperback in English here was very, very expensive, which sometimes you can get. Mostly the English books are not too expensive, but specifically this one was very, very expensive, and so I haven't read it yet. And I didn't really plan to read it in English. Portuguese, I mean, I didn't really plan to read in Portuguese, but I just saw it at my library and I was like, I will be grabbing this copy because I do want to get to this book, and I think that I won't be missing out on too much for it being like translated to Portuguese. So what I know about this book is that it's also queer. So we have at least 3 books that I know are queer. So at least half of these books are queer. I'm not sure, maybe the other ones are, some of them are too, and I just don't know it yet. But this is about a relationship between 2 men during the slavery times in the US. And I've heard amazing things about this book. I think that it will be very, very heartbreaking because, hello, 2 men falling in love with a plantation. That just sounds terrible. I'm very excited to get to this book. I have to get to this book in July so I can give it back. Can you tell I've just been in love with my local library? Can you tell? Besties, I've been obsessed with it. I go there every single week and I just pick out books to read. And I'm having the time of my life, honestly. But I have this book to read. I've always wanted to read this book. It's queer. It's historical fiction. It's a yes for me. It's a yes for me. If eventually I do pick up a Portuguese book written by a Portuguese author from the library, I will be using it for this card as well. But for now, this is my pick for the Seven of Swords. Okay, so at least from my physical TBR and the physical books I have with me, I have at least these 4 books. I'm not counting the Poppy War because I've already read it. I was just holding it for it to represent the Dragon Republic, but I don't have the Dragon Republic with me yet. But yes, I have 4 books here that I'm very, very excited to get to. And let me know if you have any other recommendations for any of the prompts. A horror book that you think I'll like, a thriller book that you think I'll like, a fantasy book that you think I'll like. That's also, I've always welcome recommendations in the comments of these videos, and let me know which book you're most excited to read in July. But I'm very, very excited to get back into reading. June was a very much better reading month for me in terms of the books that I did read and the amount of books that I read. So I'm very excited to share my wrap up and share my thoughts on these books. And here's hoping that July will be a month filled with amazing reads, amazing content, and just achieving all my goals. I'm manifesting that for myself and I'm not holding back. So yeah. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in my next video. Also, don't forget to check out the Google Docs if you want to play this game for yourself. I hope you have a great day, and always remember that life is worth reading.